Okay, so I think hopefully everyone is in the room now and ready to hear from Brittney about financial education as lead gen for advisors. So thank you again for joining. My name is Connor Kitko from the YCharts team, and my co-host today, Brittney Castro. Brittney, if you wouldn't mind just telling us a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. Hey, everyone. So I'm Brittney Castro. I'm a certified financial planner. I've been in the industry 15 years. About 8 years ago, I started my own company called Financially Wise Inc., where I started with fee-only financial planning, and also launched a lot of my speaking and media services to be the financial educator and kind of like this new face of our generation to talk about financial literacy. So now we are the company that I have now is mainly focused on the education part, although I do have a partnership with another RIA firm to handle all the financial planning clients. So financial planning is something I've done for 15 years, talking about money for 15 years. It's very fun for me to find new creative ways to explain these topics to people, whether it's through a video, our social media, partnering with companies to do financial wellness programs for them. So it's exciting to be here because I love YCharts, and I think the data and charts that you all put out all the time is super helpful in my content. And I love being able just to run quick charts, especially recently, to show people just different investing tips and strategies. So it's great to be here today.
Excellent. Yeah, we're super excited to have you. I am on the marketing team at YCharts, and so we do a lot of following and creeping on advisors' social pages to see, we have a two-part mission at YCharts. One is enabling smarter investment decisions, and the second is helping advisors communicate better with their clients. So, when we wanted to have a webinar on this topic, we were super excited that Brittney agreed to join us because, as you will see momentarily, just all the things that Brittney does with content and social media is really top notch for advisors to take tips from. So I apologize that I forgot a few housekeeping items I need to run through first. So if you're on the call right now and you're looking for a recording of the webinar, not to worry, we will send that to you tomorrow once that's saved down and everything. There is a Q&A function on this webinar as well. So if you have questions while Brittney and I are talking, feel free to put them there, and we will get to them at the end of the call. We'll have a Q&A session where Brittney can answer all the questions that came through. On that note, we have this recording. Please check out the YCharts YouTube channel as well as Brittney's YouTube channel. You'll have tons of information coming through as well throughout this call about how to access those. So, sorry for the quick laundry list of updates, but talking about what we'll cover today, Brittney is going to share with us why giving away knowledge or financial education is an impactful marketing strategy for advisors and planners. We'll share some best practices for incorporating financial education and financial awareness into your marketing strategy. And then we'll also talk about some tactics for driving leads to your website, to any forms on your site, booking time on your calendar. And then at the end, we'll touch a little bit about Brittney using YCharts while we have that Q&A. So to get us started, let's talk about a few things why giving away knowledge as a marketing strategy is impactful. And the first one is providing value first and foremost, and then capitalizing on the effort later. Brittney, this is a kind of a marketing best practice, but how do you think about just leading with value and giving them something or anything before asking for something in return?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I feel like this is now pretty common in our world. Probably like 10 years ago when I started content creation, it was still new, especially in the financial world, to give away free information, because obviously you want clients to pay for your advice. But now we know this. We know this strategy. We're inundated with education information all day long. It's more or less just that first contact with someone to say, hey, here's what I do, here's what I can help you with, here's some knowledge that will help you. And you kind of give them that good taste in their mouth of who you are and what you're capable of doing for them. So giving away knowledge, I mean, it's so important. And I've never was afraid to do it, even like 10 years ago when it's still pretty new in this financial world. Um, and you'll see that the more you give away, the clients will still come. They'll still pay for your services. And in fact, they actually want to pay more so now because you help them with free information. And they're going to think of you in this like reputable, trustworthy, like aspect and come to you for more, because the reality is we can all find the information online. So it's not like we're doing anything by giving away more information. It's building a brand for yourself and building that reputation for yourself, your company, your brand, to say, yeah, we can give you this information too, but our value is actually helping you sift through all the information to figure out what's going to help you. So I think it's just part of our culture to give away free information, but you also will talk through how to do it wisely. So you're giving away content or information that people you want to attract would actually care to learn about. So
Right.
creating it authentically is actually very important.
Yeah. And I know that just because I feel like when advisors think of marketing, they're looking for, what's that ROI, what's that return? And so for you, do you see people who do access those free resources that they go on to, come to you for more services and become clients? I think we spoke before and you said you do see people going through that journey, correct?
Absolutely. So, I'm not the best at it in terms of like online marketers, I'm first to admit, but I'm pretty dang good at having a funnel where people can get on the email list, get some value. I have a free investor video series that they can sign up for. Then they get on the email list where I nurture them through like regular monthly emails, or if I'm doing any promotions of events or services, they're going to get that information. So the conversion does happen. It's hard to say, like, if you do this, you're going to get one client per month. That is a hard thing to analyze. I know, the online marketers are way better at this, but for me, I've just seen it. Look, I put out free content. People get on my list. I have a good email list. And eventually these people either sign up for the free call to do financial planning, or a year later they sign up for that free call to do financial planning. So at some point, like I've just seen it now where I've been in the game for about 10 years of creating content. It gets business. It's all inbound. Like my whole
Yeah.
company since I started has been inbound, meaning the way I see it is I push out valuable, authentic content. People come back, they either sign up for a call, hire me for speaking. I do a lot of brand partnerships. So there's business that is happening because I'm constantly putting out good content. And that's the key, the consistency with it.
Yeah. And I think that's a great segue into kind of the next point here, which is that consistency over time is what builds up your position as a knowledgeable and trusted resource in the space. When you see, Brittney's YouTube videos with thousands of views, that adds some credibility and some, to your position to speak on these things. So some things that you do position yourself as a resource on are investing in market news, trending topics, personal finance best practices. When it comes to these topics that you create content about, how do you decide what you make a video about or what you post about on Instagram within that umbrella of financial education and awareness?
Absolutely. Years ago, I used to be very like mapped out, meaning every quarter there was a theme I was talking about. Then I would break it up into monthly, like all month we're talking about budgeting. So every video or email that I put out that month was about budgeting. Nowadays, I'm a little bit more like fluid in my marketing, meaning I obviously have ideas of what we need to do per month, per quarter with our marketing game plan, but I'm very like hands-on, meaning I like, what are people talking about? What's trending right now? And how do I push out content to deliver that? So what you'll find is if you look at my Instagram, um, I've been producing these Money Class Monday videos for probably a good like 6, maybe longer, 9 months now. They're just quick and easy, but I would just ask, I would just pull people like, what money questions do you have? Like literally, because I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I could talk about the same things I've been talking about, but I'd rather actually hear what they want to know and answer their very specific questions. So I started to get more and more detailed with our content because people, I would just say like, what is it that you want to learn about? And then I would create videos. And recently, like I'm doing another batch of videos actually this week for Money Class Monday, which is a strategy. I film a lot in one day. And I just had one of my interns I had put together a list of top questions you want to learn about money, right? And she put together this helpful list, and basically I'm just going to answer these questions in the videos. And I think nowadays, the more specific the content, especially because there's snippets that you have to give people,
Mhm.
the more helpful it is. And even if it doesn't really apply, like maybe you're not interested in, doesn't make sense to, I don't know, I'm just thinking of a random one, like lease or buy a car. Maybe you don't even care about that answer right now, but it is helpful just to watch a quick video about it and then have it in your back pocket. So if it ever came up in your life, you're like, oh yeah, I remember that video Brittney made about this
Yeah.
random topic that someone else had a question about. So it's kind of like, for me, I noticed instead of making it so general and broad and same thing over and over, just try to make it more and more specific and answer the specific questions people have, because it really does help everybody. And it makes the content more like, I think, relatable daily
Yeah.
to
I would
people.
definitely say as a, a watcher of YouTube, it's like you can get into that hole really quick. And I do just, oh, it's a 2-minute video. It's not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily super relevant to me, but I'm curious. I'll watch it, 2 minutes of my
Yeah,
time. Yeah. Um, and we talked about this before the call today, but the fact that you're creating all this content just also helps you educate yourself and stay on top of your game, right? Like if you want to be an
absolutely.
expert, this is a great way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially recently with crypto. I think toward the end of last year, I realized personally I need to learn more about crypto. So I started researching, reading books, going in Clubhouse, listening to all these crypto rooms, conversations, hearing what people are talking about. And then I was able to develop content for that. Basic education. I mean, obviously I'm still in it, like learning, expanding the content in that new realm, but it's so helpful, and it actually keeps me inspired. One of the reasons I think I love marketing so much and I'm so about it all the time is because I'm a very creative person, and I knew 15 years ago if I was going to stay in the financial world, I needed to find a way to make this fun for myself and creative and engaging. um, because not to sound like, square, but like doing financial plans all the time is boring. Like it's, so the fun part to me is like, how do I make it more fun with our marketing? How do we make funny memes about financial topics? And also the fun part is working with individuals, because every individual is so different. So whether it was through an individual conversation or speaking to companies, that's where I got the most joy out of the work I was doing. So I just started to
Mhm.
really maximize marketing for myself, because that was my personality, and I knew if I did marketing, I would be able to like run this business. The business for me happened to just be financial planning and education, but I
Yeah,
could probably choose any business because I really love the idea of marketing.
right. Yeah, more fun for you, probably more fun for the viewer or the reader of the
Mm-hmm.
content. And you mentioned memes. We will get to that in a moment for everyone who's on the call today. Um, Excellent. So moving on to this next point here, what else does giving away knowledge do? It signals to your target clients the value that you can provide, or maybe if you're more of a specialized advisor, signals to those people, hey, this is my specialization. So Brittney, I know that two of your target demographics are women and couples. But these principles can apply to if you're an advisor to medical professionals or retirees or what have you, if you're looking for business owners, perhaps. So which of these, or excuse me, when you think about going after that target audience and creating financial education content for them, what is your approach? Can you just elaborate on that?
Yeah. So in the beginning, I think for me, women was such a strong niche, and then I chose it for multiple reasons. 10 years ago, so I started at Ameriprise Financial, did really well, learned financial planning, went to LPL Financial to have more independence, how to rebuild my brand. And at that time, I was like, okay, I need to make a name for myself and kind of niche myself as a specialist. So I chose women professionals who were like, 25 to 40 years old, obviously more accumulator phase, not the typical retiree that every other advisor was chasing. But it was because I could relate to them. I thought, well, gosh, there's, me, and I'm in the industry and I don't relate to anybody in this industry. So imagine like the rest of the clients that must feel the same way. So I started with that, and then it obviously helped me build a name and momentum for myself. And since then, we've tried to expand to couples and men too, more generalized content for the masses. But I think it is very important, whatever demographic you're choosing. I mean, the most successful advisors will tell you this. They choose a niche, become a specialist, become really good at it, known for it. And then after that, maybe they expand, maybe they launch another aspect of their company or an expanded niche. But it is so important to figure out like who is your ideal client and what are they talking about? Like, where do they go on social media? What are the things they're talking about and doing with their money? What are their struggles? What are their hurdles? Because once you can kind of figure out their pain and pleasure points, and you could create your content to address it, and you could just talk to them in a normal way about money and financial strategies in a way that will make sense for them. I didn't choose like doctors or analytical engineers because that's not really how I talk about money. But those demographics are wonderful. If that's your style, then figure it out. But I think it is important to really learn how to, and it's so surprising to me actually how many advisors still just produce such general information that has no like heart or soul to it. Like there's no connection. So it can work, of course, but really we're in a world where people want this human element. Like they want to have a financial planner helping them who like feels like a friend, someone they would normally talk to and understands them and is empathetic to their specific needs. So I think it's just really important to really focus on that part in the beginning, especially if you're trying to grow your business through a specific niche, and do it well. And you'll be surprised. Like, it really works. I'm here to tell you it works.
When you can, I definitely agree with, from the YCharts perspective, marketing, when we identify what value YCharts provides, and then we look for people who are in search of that value. And that's when it's like everything clicks. And, those are the best relationships, business wise and personally, to enjoy the relationship.
Yeah.
Excellent. So transitioning to the next section of the discussion here, some best practices for actually creating this content and putting it on various social channels. So Brittney, we have up here Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, website, and Instagram. Which of these channels would you say is your favorite to use and to market on?
So we use basically Instagram right now as our main marketing. Kind of to tell the story, all of our social platforms the purpose is to drive people back to your website. That's not a secret, right? You're trying to get people to your website where you would then capture their name and email or get them to take action on something, whether it's sign up for your free whatever or schedule a consult call with you. But I did start, when I started Financially Wise, with LinkedIn. I used that to build a network. I emailed people, hey, would you like to grab coffee? And connect. I'm, financial planner. Here's my services. So LinkedIn was my first real baby. And then I think after that, I slowly launched YouTube and Facebook and Instagram. Twitter, I feel like for me, it's just where I can talk to other people in the industry. I'm not really there that often unless I'm like trying to just network with other people in the financial space. But to me, I don't think like my customers are there or like, you know what I mean? So Instagram for us is really big, mainly because I produce a lot of content, but I'm trying to showcase to brands that I work with because I do a lot of brand partnerships that I'm able to create cool content, and then they see what I do on Instagram and then hire me to partner with them to create video content or become their spokesperson or like, in-house CFP, which I have those contracts with brands and companies. So Facebook for us really wasn't getting a lot of traction over the last few years. Like, so recently I just said, let's stop. We don't need to post on Facebook anymore. We have content we could push. The nice part is Instagram is connected to Facebook, so we can push the content there, but we're not going to develop specific content for Facebook. So right now, I guess the focus is Instagram. We post often, and then YouTube. I've been creating just more videos on YouTube in the crypto space because crypto actually loves YouTube, like all the crypto companies. So that was a reason why I got back on YouTube this year, but I hadn't produced like my own YouTube video in a while, like a handful of years, and I was kind of over it in general. But obviously we want to do all of them, but you have to be like smart with your time. So Instagram for us works.
Yeah. So we're going to jump into each of these channels and kind of talk about an example of how Brittney uses them. And then to go along with that, kind of a tip or a best practice that recommended to advisors to try out. So starting with Twitter, you mentioned that you kind of view this as a networking tool first and foremost. And, FinTwit, hashtag FinTwit on Twitter is very active and lots of conversations going on. And the benefit of these conversations is, getting access to those additional thoughts and perspectives. Is that correct, Brittney?
Yeah. So for me, Twitter, I kind of just like, I don't know, like recently I'm like, who's who, in the crypto space, I needed to network more with people. So I just started like connecting with people on Twitter, direct messaging them, setting up phone calls to build a, rapport. And it's super easy. Like, I think people on Twitter are pretty responsive. Also something like this where I, might participate in other people's Twitter chats who have a large following, get me exposure through their audience, which is smart. The Twitter chats like this don't happen that often, but that's what I use it for, like just leverage to be in front of their people.
Yeah. And it is, you just mentioned the following. If people are not familiar with Tanya Rapley, a best-selling author, hundreds of thousands of followers on Twitter. So just by engaging with that, you're getting your Twitter account in front of all of those followers as well. So if Twitter is a priority for you and you're trying to grow your presence on Twitter, posting is one thing, but commenting, retweeting, engaging with other accounts is a great way to get exposure to their followers. Awesome. So talking about YouTube now, and the tip here is to post these bite-sized videos. We talked earlier about, shorter videos. It's kind of less of an ask for me, the viewer, to watch 3-minute video than a 30-minute video. And then organizing them into these playlists, which you have plenty of on your channel. So what's the inspiration behind these topics, and how do you decide about a playlist to put together?
Yeah, I have to kind of just warn, I don't really produce a lot of YouTube like I used to. I did recently with crypto, but previously in 2010, when I was starting my social media presence, I did use YouTube, and I just produced a lot of videos about financial topics. And I used it mainly as a marketing strategy to obviously like send people to watch these videos. I've never been good at leveraging YouTube like SEO. By the way, I'm very like organic with all my stuff. So I've never paid for any like ads and SEO, and I wish I knew all that really well. I always say I'm going to do it. I'm going to hire someone to help me, and I never do. So that's my like plug. Okay. So I'm nowhere near like a YouTube creator status, but I think originally it was like I want to produce content, and it actually helped me build my media skills because I would do these videos, watch them, be horrified at how I looked and sounded. And then like it really, because I was doing it weekly or in these batch video shoots, I would watch them and say, okay, here's how I can improve. So I was kind of like self-teaching myself how to have a presence in video. And obviously since then, use it as kind of like a speaking reel. Like, here's what I could do. I could create videos for your company. So it's helped in many ways in terms of consumer, but also B2B, like getting brand partnerships, because they always want to see, like, send us video content. And I'm like, here's all my video content. You can take a look. So it is helpful. And, I think a lot of advisors shy away from video because they feel like they're not good at it. I wasn't good at it until I became good at it, but I was determined, and I knew I wanted to have this part of my company. So I was very clear with my vision. But I think with advisors, there's, like you said, there's such easy ways to just put a camera in front of you, talk about quick things. And like in the financial world, we kind of know who like the players are. We know like the Josh Browns of the world, like who really use video to build a brand, and they do it well. But I'm telling you, none of us started out probably with like media training or any of it. We just learned, and we just also, there's like an I don't care mentality of I don't care what people think about, how I might look. I just was like so focused on my own goals with it. And I was probably like the most self-critical of myself anyway, when it came to the videos. And even like my friends and family helped me a lot over the years. Like if I put up a video or a YouTube or an Instagram video and it was cheesy or fake, they would say, God, you're so fake in the video. Like, what is wrong with you? So like hearing feedback throughout the years just to be more and more me, because originally when I started, it was so buttoned up. I had to be professional, and that's how it was back then.
Yeah.
Like you had to have this barrier of like, I'm the professional. Now, especially with the pandemic, we're all on Zoom. It's like so normal to like connect to somebody really, like the human behind the professional. So now the world is so much more willing and accepting to want that vulnerability, that real person, without it being so button up and perfect.
Yeah. And it's funny, you can always trust family and friends to be super honest with you, right?
Oh yeah, that's why we love them, man.
Yeah, exactly. And I'll make one more point about YouTube. Of if you are creating content, you're sharing it on Twitter or LinkedIn or wherever, then you need to post that video somewhere. And so YouTube is kind of one of these center points of your content universe as you start building it out. Awesome. So talking about LinkedIn, and you've mentioned a lot of these partnerships that you have, and this is a great example of just publicizing how you contribute to that partnership and building credibility. You're part of the CFP board, you're CFP board ambassador, and then other companies like Mint and Altruist that you work with. So it's great to show these relationships and let your followers know if someone's thinking, should I hire Brittney Castro? Oh, she's a CFP board ambassador. That's probably a good sign. How do these partnerships and relationships start? Do you reach out to these people, or do they reach out to you?
No, fortunately, I've been very blessed. All my business is inbound. Every time I think about doing it, I get a new proposal come my way. So I never have to really pitch that much. But I am really good at building relationships in general. But let's see. When I knew I wanted to start this company as an RIA, about 8-9 years ago, I started Financially Wise as an RIA, did fee-only financial planning, but I was very clear I also wanted to be like the next Susie Orman. So I wanted to be this media presence. I started the YouTube channel, and right away someone saw one of my YouTube channels, and it was this company here in Los Angeles. It was all about helping the next generation of entrepreneurs. So they hired me actually as a kind of like a a spokesperson or host for their business. So that was like the first kind of contract I got in that influencer realm. And once I realized that was possible, because that was also like when a lot of these beauty and fashion brands were also doing a lot of like when influencer marketing started to really pick up, I realized, okay, I could do it with finance too. And here's an example of how it's done. And I also got really a lot of experience. I worked with them for like 3 years and did a lot of different videos, like hosted events, did just like green screen in their studio, camera work. I did interviews where I was like interviewing different entrepreneurs on camera. So I just got and I got a lot of training through how to do these different formats. Because actually, like a webinar is different than a video versus a live news TV gig. So they're all a little bit different. But anyway, I got a lot of experience. I learned that I could do this thing called influencer marketing. After that, Chase found me. I worked with Chase for 3 years, which was really fun. We did a lot of in-person events too. So continued to develop my skills. And then since then have worked with Investopedia for a little bit, Mint, as you mentioned, the CFP board, Altruist, a lot of one-off companies throughout the years, E-Trade, just a handful of, one-off projects where people hire me to create video content. Like I recently worked with Gemini, which is a crypto company. So it's fun for me. And I really am like, that's actually what I do full time now, because I sold my client book of business last year and now just have a referral partnership with another firm. So that was kind of the original goal, to eventually get to a point where the revenue from all of the speaking and media partnerships was enough where I could fully jump. And, but it's so, what's so cool is now all these brands want me because I am a CFP and I've had the actual experience of working with clients for 15 years, because, it's trying to just separate out from like anybody throwing up TikTok content about money from like, oh, here's Brittney. She's actually credentialed, licensed professional, worked with people for many, many years. So knows how to talk to the camera, but also actually has that real life experience. So it's very valuable now, this like little niche I've developed in that space.
Yeah. And as maybe advisors tend to be more technical, right brain kind of people, you get that left brain and things just kind of snowball. I think you mentioned earlier of one brand reaches out, and then as another company sees it, then they know your name and they reach out too. So the wheel keeps turning. Excellent. So moving on from LinkedIn, we'll talk about Instagram, which you've mentioned is your number one platform these days. So the tip here is to mix it up. Instagram is a place to show your personality and also give that, bite-sized information and just kind of have more fun with content. So we'll have a couple screenshots up here in a second, but I wanted to call out just on your Instagram page how you have these memories set up, these different videos, just another, specialized content for people to go down. And I wanted to ask, showing your personality, I know that you enjoy gardening, dancing, meditation. Do you ever feel those things lead to a new relationship, or posting about them starts a conversation for you?
Yeah, I feel like over the years I've like shown more and more personal life. It's kind of funny because I feel very private, even though I post some of my personal life. Like I never really post my family or friends or my social outings. It's usually just like me at the events. But that was a decision I made. I didn't want to promote all my like life, and I think advisors have a lot of conflict with that, like, oh my god, now I have to be this blogger. No, you don't. You can actually like be kind of choosy about how much of your life you show. Like every now and then I'll throw a picture of my family in the mix, but very rarely. And I have a huge social life and a huge family, but you would never really see it. So every time I tell people on my Instagram, I would say it's mainly business. So if you know me, you would know it's not all my life. But I do think it helps. And I think it helps just build some personal connection with people, and also just kind of showcase like who I am as a human. Like here are my interests. And then sometimes it does. I think, with conversation starters, sometimes I teach courses, so sometimes students will say, oh, I saw that you posted a dance video and I want to invite you, or I want to, like recently I had a woman say she took one of my courses and she wanted to connect me to a woman who, long story short, here in LA, it's like big like art events she does, and she
Oh,
also likes dance. So she thought, okay, well, this is a good connection. You guys have a similar personal interest, and it could lead to another like speaking event for me. So it does help just showcase like obviously a little bit more about who I am as a person.
yeah. And we mentioned it before, but people want to work with people, not
Mm-hmm.
people versus brands. That is the distinction to make. But we promised some meme content as well, and we've got that up there now. Just really love the Beyonce Jay-Z. It's definitely relates to people on a level that, you're talking about retirement investment accounts, but this is so much more relatable than any other, an infographic or something. And it's like funny too. How do you guys go about the meme game and make yourselves stand out in that way?
Yeah, so about probably 9 months ago, I have a social media manager who actually helps with all the posting and content. But I said, you know what? It's time to like spice it up. I'm bored. I'm bored with the content. I want it to be edgier, spicier. Let's throw in more memes, like have fun with money. Um, so I think I like gave her a direction of what I wanted, and we work together where she produces the content and I edit or approve it. And so now we just have a really good time with it. And sometimes I'm just like, I laugh at the memes we post because I think it's hilarious. And they're supposed to like make you laugh and push the limit a little bit. Like that's the whole point of these memes. It's to not take it so seriously. And fortunately, we just live in the world of memes nowadays. So it's not like as like probably 4 years ago, this would have been like too much for the masses
Right.
and people would have been so judgmental, but now it's kind of like expected. But I think it is hilarious.
Yeah, we think it's hilarious too at YCharts. And it is just, you make a good point, but kind of taking cues from what other people are doing as memes become more commonplace and more just like part of the zeitgeist. It's like, oh, okay,
Hmm.
maybe we can step into this space too.
Hmm.
Taking cues from the content that you consume to create your own content.
Hmm.
Um, awesome. So finally, talking about the website, we said all these social channels point in this direction. And we have these forms. So just like the first thing that happens when I visit financiallywiseinc.com is you see this form offering me a free resource again. And, something that I have been told in my marketing career is this kind of cheese and mousetrap analogy. You have cheese on your website, which are the valuable things that people want, and then mousetraps, which are forms and things that help you capitalize on that free resource that you're offering. So we talked about this a little beforehand, and you said, the thing that's really important is making yourself stand out and creating
Hmm.
content that people actually want to download, where they're comfortable giving over their email address.
Hmm.
So how do you do that? How do you make content that people actually want to get access to?
Yeah, again, like just kind of hear what people are talking about, the questions you get on a regular basis. So I just changed this actually. So now it's the free investor video training, which includes like just like investing strategies for the stock market, but then also the crypto videos. And then we
Hmm.
have a 30-day money detox as part of this bundle when they sign up. But before it was this 30-day money detox was my freebie. And that was probably for 2 years. I did that, maybe a year and a half. And that was because someone asked and people kept asking, look, I just need like bite size help. So I thought, okay, well, why don't I just create a 30-day money detox giveaway that people would be interested? Or I email them a tip a day. It's very easy. And then they're on the list after that. Recently, I changed it because obviously everybody wants to know about investing in crypto, investing in meme stocks. I mean, over the last year and a half, all people do is talk about investing. It's like the sexy hot
Right.
topic. So I said, you know what, we need to revamp and update it. So it's kind of just like the same thing, like keeping your pulse on the radar. Is that how you say that?
It's
I don't
close
know
enough.
how to say
Close
phrase.
enough.
Radar on the pulse. I don't know, something. Anyway, you're in the ground. You're hearing what are people asking about on a regular basis, and create a offering, a video, a PDF about it, and change it. Change it every year or two, because that's what we need to do with our marketing. Constantly just update it and improve it. Unless you've really maximized it and putting ad money and like you just nailed it, which I know financial advisors have done, like they really have nailed this freebie and they put money behind it, then leave it for as long as it's working. But if not, changing it up every so often will just spice it up.
Yeah. And I also have a screenshot here from your site of just the different ways that people can take, the different steps they can take, that they can act and engage with you or become a client of yours. So that's valuable as well. If you give people, here's not just one download, but look at all these different options. And I think that some of these are on your site, a higher fee or a lesser fee or free entirely. So it's just those options, and it gives people a little bit of authority to do what they please, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on now to one of the little goofy visual, but when we were talking before, you mentioned thinking of all of this content and your website and everything working as a spider web. So you're creating this web for people to come into your social media, hit your website, and then that hopefully leads to the right side of the screen here, scheduling calls, signing up for a class, what have you. So do you think about these specific paths beforehand, or is it more so just here's my universe of content, and if they come inside the web, then I know that things will happen?
Probably before I was more strategic with it. Now I just know throughout the years, if you create the content and push it out, they'll come. Like it just works. So, like I said, everything's pretty inbound. Like people come to the website and sign up for discovery calls, which is our free consult to discuss financial planning. People book the speaking form a lot, and we have a call to discuss whatever needs they have for speaking, whether it's a one-off webinar or an in-house financial wellness program, or to work with them as a brand ambassador. So it just works. And it's been working for like 8+ years because I produce consistent content on all the social channels that has, usually most of the time, they have a call to action to do, like, drive them back somewhere. Or nowadays, we know with social media, if people are on social, they're going to eventually come to your website.
Yeah.
So yeah, the way I see it is, because I'm not too analytical with all this and the SEO, and I don't do any paid ads or anything, is that, look, I just produce really compelling content that I would want to read, and I do it often and regular, that I know keeps this machine alive. We do fine tune it. Like I always track like how many discovery calls we get per year, how many actually have the call and are conversion, and also, how many speaking inquiries versus how many that I actually do. I think the
Mm-hmm.
clients is always easier to figure out like how to filter that a little bit more for conversion. Speaking is so hard to like figure out conversion ratios, because I don't know, it's not like a financial planning client. It's like, well, sometimes you have a conversation and the thing didn't happen or whatever, but it's always okay to have those conversations.
Yeah. And so it's just a great for people who are trying to grow their business through a similar marketing strategy. Here's your example with Brittney of, not really, you don't need to be that technical expert of, okay, our leads are coming from Instagram and then they go through this form and attribution rate of so much. It's like, no, if you just do it and you get things going, then, the value comes, and you don't need to be such a technical person about it to make it work. Awesome. One more question here on this is just as advisors try to, maybe it's their first time producing content, it can be hard to know where to start. Like, okay, I want a whole library of content, but which topic do I start with first? What do I do? Do you have any just general advice for advisors who are in that boat and wanting to, emulate content creation that they've seen?
Yeah, try to schedule it as much as you can. I mean, now it's like kind of embedded in my work process. Um, but like, look at the quarter ahead, plan a day where you're just focused on marketing and creating the topics. Figure out what type of content is it going to be. Is it going to be a email? Is it going to be a video? Is it going to be social media posts? But really just start like kind of developing themes. So if you want to talk about like say investing, okay, and you want to have 4 videos about that, well, what are the 4 video topics going to be? And just start to define it from there. So kind of my process now, like I said, it's more ingrained in my workflow.
Yeah.
But like when I need to produce, for example, I told you I'm producing more videos this week, so I need to produce, I think I'm doing 5 videos for the next 5 weeks of our money class Monday. Well, we got the topics. Today I'm going to write the scripts, which I still write scripts for, believe it or not. Not because I need to memorize the scripts, but because it actually just helps me like bullet it out methodically. So I know
Mhm.
what I'm going to say in the quick video. And then it also kind of helps me just have this huge content library. So if somebody then asks me like, "Oh, Brittany, what about this?" Well, I already wrote something out to answer it for them. And I also do this with all my brand partnerships. So with Mint, for example, or Altruis, if they want videos from me, I'll write video scripts, submit it for approval, record the video for them, of course, and then that way they can use even the video script in another format. Like I obviously am saying it in a video, but if they want to turn it into a blog post or a newsletter. So I think it's always just like start with your idea of what you want to accomplish over the next quarter, pick themes, pick topics, and then just keep breaking it down from there. And then once you kind of map it all out, then just pick alternate dates where you're going to actually do it.
Yeah.
Either it's a video shoot and do bulk videos in one day, or you need to write like 4 emails, like today I have to write 4 or 5 emails. I just block out time in my calendar and do it. Sometimes I don't want to do it. I have no creative juices. I don't know what I'm saying. But that's also part of it. You just have to do it.
Yeah.
So
Just have to commit.
it's like that creative process. But my content's all organic. So I don't hire, other than my social media manager who helps with all like the graphics and content there. I don't hire someone to create content. I create it. And that's why I think I'm successful because it always has my authentic voice or tone and personality.
Yeah, 100%. Awesome. Well, I did want to get onto some Q&A that we received from some listeners throughout the call. Before that, just a little bit of information about how Brittney uses YCharts. So she is creating visuals to educate everyone who follows her on various social platforms, monitoring the market. You mentioned the meme stocks and crypto. As you hear those
Yeah.
things being talked about, YCharts is a great place just to jump in, see a couple visuals, see some data, and then come away with hopefully a little bit more of a perspective. And then just monitoring the market in general to know that where things are going and what is the market up or down or sideways, whatever.
Yeah. I love
Any
white
any
charts. Yeah, I was gonna
Thank you.
say the coolest part about white charts is like you guys let us actually take your data and then create it in our own brand, which I remember when I was like asking, I was like, do you want me to tag white charts? Because if you see my Instagram, we actually have white charts,
Yeah,
but we've designed it in my own brand color palette, which is
yeah,
the coolest thing. So I love that. And me and my social media manager have a kick. We enjoy just like she's like, "Oh, let's run what the S&P index did versus Bitcoin over the last year." We like running these quick, you know,
right.
charts and having that data so easy to like put into content that we're developing. So I love that aspect of Y charts.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely agree with the customization, custom colors, branding and stuff.
Yeah. Amazing.
exporting so that you can play with it and do whatever you please. Um, okay, so first question here. I think you touched on this briefly, but have you ever used paid advertising on Facebook, LinkedIn, or others? And do you feel that paid advertising is necessary for advisors?
Unfortunately, no, I haven't. Or fortunately. I think it's really good. I actually had the idea that I might do it this year once I'm creating one more course called the Investing Masterclass that's going to be evergreen to live on my website. And then all the funnels will be connected, meaning once someone signs up for the freebie, then they're going to get the email about the $7 product, then the 197 product. The system will be finally complete because I really, when you have clients, it's hard to do everything. So I was running
Yeah.
two businesses basically for 8 years, and now I only have one. Um, I figured once that happens, I might actually decide to put some money behind the funnel, meaning like drive traffic to get more people. I just have never felt comfortable doing it because I felt like, well, I could put money, but I don't really need to get more discovery requests. Like we get over 400 a year, so I don't need more of that.
Yeah.
Because we can't actually handle more. But with the online courses, that's something you could scale. So I've been kind of waiting for all of that to be done before I actually try paid advertising. But I do know advisors who do it and are really good at it and found the system. It takes time, like anything. I think you have to kind of be willing to say 6 months and like a committed budget
Hmm.
to actually see results. But I think once you kind of nail the formula, it's a great thing.
Yeah, it's great advice. Um, kind of a follow up to that is do you believe there's any value in curated content through a third party? It seems every advisor does this, so it's difficult to stand out. Any
I
perspectives
know
there?
there's great companies that will do it and like I said, create these funnels, help you get the ads behind it and have the whole system mapped out. I think it just depends on what if that's your marketing. Like I know with those types of pre-formulated services, they don't allow that much um, change to the copy because obviously they have the formula of how it's going to work. For me, I just know it's always been so important to build the brand and authentic name to stand out because I was also trying to be a media and speaking advocate, which it helped me. So that's why I will never I mean, I'll use data and other information like with YCharts and stuff, but I'll always find a way to create it to be my own because I
Hmm.
think it's so important for my brand. But every firm, every company is different, and I think a lot of times if you're just new to the game, maybe you just start with one of those services to get it all up and running, and then once you know how it works, you create it on your own. But it takes a lot of time to create on your own. I mean, I've spent a lot of time, money, and energy to making all these funnels and things and everything you see on my website I've created, so it takes time. So I guess it just depends on like how fast do you want to go, how much money do you want to put behind it, how much time do you want to devote to creating the content, and then you kind of figure out from there what would work better, doing it all yourself or hiring a service to help you.
Yeah, and if you are someone like you who wants to be close to the marketing, that your approach makes sense. But if you're an advisor who firmly knows that's not in my wheelhouse, then there you go. You have options. Um, Another question here is how do you make revenue from smaller investors? So, general question, but how do you view going after, I guess, clients who maybe don't have, the $1 million investment account already? What's your approach?
Well, I always did fee only planning, so there was never a minimum that clients had to have as long as they could pay for the service fees, which are like, thousands per year. They were fine. But that's why I started creating online courses because when I would have these consult calls, obviously not everybody is willing to engage in a financial planning relationship. So I wanted to offer them another product or services where they can start for, a few $100s, and that's when I created the money class in like 2014. That was my first one, and that one now sells for 197. So I think having other options for smaller investors, so like comprehensive financial planning, we even have just a financial planning like strategy, which is just like a few hours of time for like, less than $1,000 for people who just need more a la carte, or I have my online courses. So I think you just start with like obviously your main service offering, which is also important. When I started, I just had one main offering, right? And then every year I kept adding more and more and more. But start with something, kind of hear what your people need if they can't afford that one, so that you can capture them as like a client, whether it's a product or another smaller one-off service, because these people, you never know, like if they like you and they all of a sudden come up with money or an inheritance, they're going to come back and they're going to be that $1 million client, if you've been treating them well, during the
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. A couple more questions that are coming in now as well. One being, what was your messaging to clients when explaining the importance of fee only versus other fee structures like fee based or commission, etc.?
Actually, Nate, this is good because I actually am going to try to create more videos about this for Money Class Monday, because I think this conversation can never get old. People still don't really understand this. Um, but yeah, I think in the beginning it was just explaining, no, we just charge flat fees. This is how we work. We don't have commission. Here's why it's better, my biased opinion, to do this work this way. So we just explain it over and over. But I think in terms of content, I actually want to try to produce more video content around that and bite-sized information, because to this day, people still don't understand the different models of how advisors get paid. We had a client recently who actually was saving money by doing our comprehensive fee only package for the year versus her old asset under management fee, and only got investment help. But she couldn't understand. Like she kept thinking, oh, this is an additional cost. If I'm going to do financial planning with you guys, it's an additional cost. And I said, no, because actually, if you roll your account, that's all part of the fees. So we're actually saving you like $2,000 a year. But I had to keep explaining it to her because it was such a new concept. And she was like, the retiree generation. And then once she finally got it, she was like, oh my God, I get it. Oh my God, I got it. I got it. And I was like, oh yeah, see, I'm trying to tell you, we're actually saving you money. I don't understand. We're saving you money. Um, but I know this is so confusing because the mass population of the US, still doesn't really understand the different models. And I think a lot of people are so hesitant about getting ripped off or
Yeah.
burned, with fees. So we've always just been so transparent.
Transparency, maybe that's the best way to go about it, is just transparency first and foremost.
Hmm.
A question from Lewis, how are you compensated? How, you talked about the transition that you've made in your business recently. So if you don't mind sharing, how are you
Hmm.
compensated, Brittney?
Absolutely. So up until this year, in my RAA, I closed my RAA last year because I didn't need it. But for the first like 8 years, I was compensated from financial planning clients. So all those fees I was getting with working with direct clients, that was like half of my business revenue, and the other half came from the speaking and brand partnerships. So those are oftentimes structured like as a retainer every month or a retainer for a length of time. So for example, if it's a 12-month contract, they're just, here's how much we're going to pay you for the 12 months. It could come monthly, or I don't know, twice during that time. And then with my online courses, obviously I get paid whenever people buy those products. And those are all passive because I create them once, it's all automated. And, if we promote it, it's great. So those, I guess, would be my main ways. And now I have a referral partnership with the firm who handles all our clients. So if I send clients there, I still get a referral fee for that. Um, yeah, I think those are like, there's like 5 or 6 revenue streams I get, but those are like the speaking and media kind of has a few different versions, but yeah, those are
Mm-hmm.
all of them. Products,
Awesome.
financial planning fees, brand partnerships, speaking engagements.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
Hmm.
Final question, just as we're getting close on time, did you use webinars as part of building your RIA when that was still a focus? And did you advertise those through social media?
Yeah, actually, I did. I did a lot of in-person workshops in the beginning, and webinars. So I would teach free webinars, promote financial planning services at the end. I probably would only do them once a quarter, though. It wasn't that much. But I did do a lot of in-person workshops when we were able to, and now we're starting to do those sorts of things again. But that was kind of like my bread and butter for a long time. Even at Ameriprise, that's how I started building all my clients in my first 5 years of working in the industry, was just meeting people for lunch, what we called lunch and learn. So I just knew, like, if I get in front of people, I'm going to get a client. Somehow I'm going to get a client. So I just knew, like, the importance of getting in front of people, building a rapport, telling them what I did. And I'm naturally like a connector. Like, I naturally know how to connect with people and socialize. So I think that was just then, like, turning it into webinars just seemed like an easy next step.
Yeah, yeah. And a great transition. You like to connect with people. As we wrap up here, if anyone has questions for you or wants to get in touch, what's the best way for them to do that?
Absolutely. Please message me on Instagram. So you can direct message me at Brittney Castro. Follow me on Instagram. Just look at all the content we're producing. Message me on Instagram because I actually do read all those messages. And if it makes sense, we can have a call or talk further about whatever questions you might have. But I really am serious when I say feel free. I'm available. And it's usually, that's how I, like, obviously became successful too, is just by building relationships with people who could help me get to where I wanted to be.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Brittney. This has been awesome. I've learned so
Thank
much
you.
myself. I hope everyone else has as well. Follow YCharts on social media as well, also on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. Thank you again, everyone, for spending the past hour with us. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you, Connor.
Thanks.